WCLN 1170 Radio and Cable Channel 16 are pleased to present We Should Know, hosted by J.W. Simmons, an upbeat, informative look at people, places, and issues facing our community. This education-based analysis of issues will remain positive and informative as we consider closely what we should know.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I want to thank you for being with us today. We Should Know is on the air. Each and every week on Tuesday, we come to you on Star TV Channel 16, simulcast on WCLN Radio, summation of Sampson weekly newspaper. Also worldwide at mixler.com/oldies1170. The comments and commentary from our previous shows to include the show that deals with cannabis, particularly with Dr. Tom Melton, North Carolina State University. I want to thank you for your comments on that. As we move forward and look at other kinds of issues that affect and connect with your life each and every day, I want to thank our guest today, the Honorable Chairman of the Board of the Sampson County Commissioners, Mr. Clark Wooten. Clark, thank you for being with us today.
Oh, thank you, J.W. Thank you for having me, and thank you for sharing with the citizens of Sampson County things that they need to know and topics that are pertinent to our time. It's a real service, and we appreciate you and appreciate your sponsors and the people that help put it on.
Well, thank you again. And now here's where I'm at with our discussion today. I know as Commissioner you stepped in, and now you're in your, third term as being chairman of the board. You are now in a situation that you have been able to look at from the business angle, private business, to a public sector operation. And you're now in that position of something we talked about both on air and off air a couple of times, is this, how does this mix? How does this work? The reality is the generation of revenue is often overlooked many times, as many folks will tell me, is folks seems to understand, I want government to do this, but government has limitations simply because of assets and money. And when you have a limited amount of assets and money coming in, somebody's got to figure out where do we get those assets and money. So I want to leverage to you today this question about economic development, industrial development, that kind of thing. It's such a huge comment, and anybody that don't believe that, just go to Google and Google it for North Carolina. You'll see a bunch of folks involved in it. Who takes the lead? Help us understand where that's going.
Well, it's a great question, and it's a hot topic, JW. It comes down to a couple of things. But before I get into it, I need to say this. I am honored to serve 4 great commissioners as chair. They have honored me and allowed me to lead them, and I've gained way more from it than I could possibly ever give. We got 534 employees in Sampson County, a great group of people, very smart, very dedicated, very willing, and when you have those, it's easy to make progress, and we've made progress, and I'm proud of it. But the generation of revenue is the next step we need to look at in this county. There's only 2 ways. It's very simple. We're going to raise taxes, or we're going to gain tax base. Now, as you know, and I'm sure a lot of citizens of Sampson County and other places know, the board as it sits now, raising taxes is not an option. It is our belief that private business is the driver of the economy. When we take tax money away from that private business, it impedes them to have real growth in the economy. So raising taxes is not an option. So that only leaves us with tax base. And to the credit of many administrators and many past boards that became before me and the current board, and some of the current board members were there, it was a long process. But once InViva came to fruition, they put $125 million in our tax base. It allowed us to bring the per pupil funding up $80 in 1 year. We're somewhere in the 1070 range. Wake County is 2,200. My goal is to help the Board of Education and their team by generating funds to when our children sit in a college class setting to be just as prepared as the one that comes from Wake County. and we are doing a good job at that, but having more funds available to them can help improve that. And also, we were able to reduce the tax rate a half cent. Now, could it have been more? That would have been great, but it's a step in the right direction. So when you see how that tax base can be a boost to the things we need as a rural county, you quickly ask yourself, we need another one. What are we going to do to get another one? How are we going to go about it? And that's a complex issue. But as our staff saw the passion that this board had about driving economic development, when we refunded the school, when we refinanced the school debt, private and USDA, we saved about $19 million over the life of the debt, and we didn't extend the debt. And USDA had sequestered about $2 million as funds if things went bad to help make a payment type thing, for simplicity's sake. And so then we had that money available. Our staff said, well, if y'all are passionate about growing the tax base, why don't we take $1.5 million and put it in an economic development fund? Now, what we've been asking John Swope to do is sell a concept. And selling concepts are hard, and so that helped take the shackles off of him, helped untie his arms from behind his back, and it gets people's attention. We can match, we have funds to match with. But that's only a piece of it. That's the money piece of it. The competitiveness you talk about between counties and states and cities, that's an issue. And anybody that's heard me talk about it, I take a lot of training from Joe Max Higgins in the Golden Triangle in Mississippi. He took rural farmland and brought PACCAR there, which builds Cummins engines, Eurocopter, and really brought all that out of dust in that area and brought those people jobs and brought tax base. And JW, he did it in an unconventional way. He didn't. He took out on his own. And that's what I think, that we have been in a position that we've had to wait for these state and regional agencies to provide us an opportunity. And be honest with you, that's not the way I see us going. And I'm passionate about that. I think we've got to find what business fits us, and we've got to seek that business out. Lowest unemployment of any county that touches us. We can't take a company that's going to bring 10,000 jobs. Like in Viva, we need about 80 people they employed and $125 million. That's the kind of business we need that fits us. And we're, not to, and that's part of our moniker. We're positioned to grow. Question is, are we going to be the driver of the change? JW, there's only one constant in this world, and that's change. So you ask yourself this question: which feels better to you? Change done to you or change done by you? And it feels better to me when I'm in control of the destiny. And so that's what I want Sampson County to be. And we got a process of thinking about hiring some people to help us understand, the level of customer service we have in this county, to have to understand what can work in this county, and where it can work. Now, here's another message I want to be sure that we don't miss here. Every student in Sampson County received that funding because of Enviva. Every every property taxpayer received that because of Enviva. We have to, JW, realize that we have to be a team. No matter where we get business in this county, everybody wins. We have to be Sampsonians first. We have to step forward with a unified front. We have to be a team, because we're going up against the Wake counties, the Johnston counties, the Cumberland counties. and they have stronger assets and stronger funding than we do. So we have to, when business comes, we have to go forward with a unified front.
So when you talk about that piece of it, the obvious question comes to mind, this bringing together, this collateral that we have, which would be municipalities, which would be what people have to offer, which would be what businesses can do to bring to the table, not just what government enacts, not one employee that maybe works for government, i.e. a economic development office expected to do the job. It is a totality of thinking.
Oh, we have to be a team. Everybody has to live. JW, no one person has ever done anything great. It takes a team. And everybody in Sampson County and everybody that hears my words, I want them to know we want their input. We want their thoughts. We want to be able to have an opportunity for things that they see or may come across their desk, no matter where they are or no matter what their job or what their passion is. We want to provide that vehicle to bring it in and let us know so we all are lifting, the same team is lifting, every Sampsonian. I want every Sampsonian to be a part of it because, again, it takes public and private all together because of just what you identified. You've got local partnerships, regional partnerships, states vying against states. I mean, it's a competitive business, and we have to find our niche. We have to find what we stand out.
We're going to take a break. We're going to come back, ladies and gentlemen. I want to ask you to stay with us. We're talking about a very important subject for you, and it's revenue generation in Sampson County for the folks in this particular area with the chairman of the board, Sampson County Commissioners, Mr. Clark Wooten. Call a friend, stay tuned. We'll be back in 1 moment.
Experiencing slow internet? If you have a fast internet package, the problem is most likely your wireless router. With more devices using Wi-Fi, your wireless router may not be able to deliver the speed and coverage you need. We now have the leading solution to enhance your internet experience. Using small devices in a mesh network, these Wi-Fi appliances cover just about any size home so that all your devices can operate to their fullest potential. Whole home Wi-Fi from Star Communications. Get the most out of your internet connection.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We Should Know is on there. We're coming up on our second segment today. We're talking with the Chairman of the Board of Commissioners, Sampson County Commissioners. We're talking about something that, whether you know it or not, is near and dear to you, and that's developing revenue and generating dollars that are assets for this particular county that can benefit you through your school system, and it benefits you in many ways. Chairman, thank you for being with us because I think where we're at in this subject as we ended, you were commenting on that this is a kind of an all-sum game. Everybody needs to be in it. Everybody needs to participate in it. And as I was thinking about your comment, it struck me there's a saying that law enforcement has used for years, and it started, I think, after 9/11. And the idea is if you see something, say something. You know, call us and let us know because there might be something wrong there. Well, you can almost use that same analogy to say, if you have an idea, tell us about it. If you got a connection, let us know to see if we can help. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes perfect sense, and that's the end game here, JW. It's it takes sometimes the ideas that are not in mainstream to bring the newest and latest thing. I have traveled to, and will here in the next 2 weeks, have traveled to every municipality in this county, talked about economic development, same message I've had here, local economic development groups, and town hall meetings where people would gather and listen. And that is that, you know, we need their ideas. Now, you think, well, what came out of that? Well, there came several great ideas out of that, and one of them, you know, was that we start a public-private fund, and we work, get people, businesses to contribute, and we're able to do things privately that the government a government entity can't do. I mean, I'm going to be talking to the Clinton 100 committee here, not in the next couple of weeks, and they're going to play a big part in it. But the thing is, we've all got to light the passion for this. We've all got to be sure that there's no stone unturned, that there's no citizen in this county that doesn't understand that we are no longer going to stand in line and wait. We're going to step forward. We're going to find what fits us and where it fits us, and we're going to aggressively go after it. And that's plain and simple how I feel about it. And I have support of my other commissioners, have support of the staff, and gaining tremendous support in the community. And so I'm extremely excited and passionate about it.
When I look at the whole avenue of development of industry or business, it often comes to mind, and I know somebody's going to expect me to ask this question, oftentimes we see the need to develop land and space for industry or for business or to attract business that has the kinds of things that business is looking for, which is not only the square footage of the building, but having fiber available, having water available, having the utilities already there, and pushing that agenda. Is that part of it, or are you kind of more or less planting seeds now to try to get to there? Because one of the things you mentioned, Joe Max Higgins, one of the things he did, as you recall, in the Golden Triangle, he literally went in and the idea was kind of lowball to start with, if he could just get some people to show up at a theater. And his comment was, well, I saw more than that. And he's been referred to as a bulldog, by the way, simply because of Mississippi. But the other part of that impressed me was he saw something different. He saw a bigger picture. And as I recall, the article that I read talked about $400-something thousand he got commissioners to commit to for an industrial park that was ready to go. So give us where we're at here and where you're thinking on that.
Well, there's no question. And that is part of it. It's a two-pronged approach. It's who we need, what business fits us, and where it fits us. I don't know the answer to that. There's been all sorts of people had opinions about it. We met with a lady from Holly Springs. Holly Springs is a residential community, but they had one 425-acre tract of land that was zoned commercial. And so they had limited resources. So they went out and determined what business would fit in their community. And that's what we want to do. We want to hire, and we don't know who, we'll put out an RFP, we'll see, to help us understand where the best place is. First of all, where's the best place outside of infrastructure? Let's put infrastructure aside. Mm-hmm. Where's the best place? We have a lot of great places. Mm-hmm. We have interior, along the interstates, mm-hmm. Along 24 highway. We have a lot of great places, but we need functional expertise to tell us where to focus our limited funds. Mm-hmm. But we also need expertise in telling us, hey, what do we need to change internally? Self-awareness of what we need to do as a community to attract that business, and so that's the approach. But infrastructure is key, and JW, it starts way back. I mean, with wetlands delineation, with soil type, mm-hmm. with ability to deal with the sewer. That's one thing about it in Viva. They were able to deal with that on their site. Mm-hmm. Some businesses have to have a municipal or county type sewer system. That doesn't fit us at this current time. And that's what we've got to sort out. That's how we have to move forward and understand. JW, there's only one perfect one, and he's not on this earth. Rest of us are going to make mistakes. But let's do everything within our power and everything within our diligence to determine the best place, the best way, the best chance to be successful. Let's arm ourselves with the tools to be successful. That's going to cost money and it's going to take time. But I, as a steward, and my commissioners as a steward of tax money, we're going to make that decision as Sampson County. We're going to make that decision by coming to see you on your show and telling you what we believe and how we're going to be direct. We want a grassroots movement on this economic development. So that's how we're going to attack that.
One of the things that's interesting in this conversation, and most folks know you, and you're a very modest person, so you're probably not going to. You're probably just going to not say a whole lot about this comment, but you're a very successful businessman. You have multi-state connectivity. You travel, well, probably I could say a lot. You see a lot of different things in other similar communities that have rural assets. Is there something that out there that you've seen that you think may be a nugget that could be used here? That would be something somewhat unique that typically, simply because oftentimes folks are not looking out the window you are or somebody else is, that you could bring to the table? To me, that's what I hear when you say, if you know something that'll work, let us know, and that kind of thing. And I don't really know too many people that's out there in the business world more than you are right now, especially in a multi-state level.
I appreciate those kind words. Not so sure they're well deserved, but I do see different things, and I do see different avenues. Now, that's one thing. We have a school system, two school systems. Both are willing. They've been worked very well with the commissioners. They understand what our game plan is, and JW, a big key is our current administration at the community college and our current boards there. JW, they get it. Mm-hmm. I am so thankful that we're blessed with the people we have. They have the passion, they have the drive, they have the want to move us forward. And it's just, I can't say enough about that particular thing, because I see so many times where there's a disconnect between business, government, and education. And I fully believe with all of Clark Wooten that is not the case in this county. And I am so thankful for that, because the education system is going to play a key into whatever, in whatever move we make. They're going to be a key, because businesses want trained people that can step in and do the work that needs to be done. And JW, not to give mine and your age away, but today is robotics.
Mm-hmm. It is.
It's not. The chairs and the tables we sit in, I mean, they likely were built by a robot. Mm-hmm. I heard I heard a slogan not long ago: automate or stagnate. And so that's what we need for our youth. Our fire chief in Spivey's Corner, mm-hmm. I heard him say one time, if you want to do something for this county, you build an infrastructure and build a business that our children can stay at home and work, that they don't have to make the trek 60 miles. And hey, I thought it was super insightful, and it's driven me. Now, what you see outside of here, is there's economic development in different states is handled in different ways, and some of it is quite unique.
We're going to come back and follow up on that comment and try to get a little bit deeper here for folks. We're going to take another break. Ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for being with us. The discussion is one of those discussions that I'm certainly interested in, I know you are too, and that's improving our environment through generating revenue that can help all of us move forward together. We'll be back in a moment with the Chairman of the Board of Commissioners in Sampson County.
You come out to replace a bad sensor, and that adds a 5-year commitment to my contract, and you don't tell me? Here's your sign.
Switch to the sign that's keeping homes secure and customers happy all over the area. Security from Star Communications. We pride ourselves on fair pricing and quick, friendly service every time.
Somebody try to break into this place?
Security from Star Communications.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're kind of halfway the show. It's called We Should Know. Every Tuesday at 2:30, Channel 16 Star TV, Star Communications, I started to say WRZ, which used to be the radio station, the only one in Sampson County, but it's WCLN in Clinton, North Carolina, is simulcast. We also a summation of the Sampson Weekly newspaper. We appreciate you being with us. I want to kind of mention that email address again. Oftentimes folks will stop me and say, where's that email? What did you say it was? It's weshouldknow.edu@gmail.com. weshouldknow.edu@gmail.com. Also want to give a shout out to a number of folks I've talked to from other counties that listen or pick this show up from one of the sources that is debited out on. And I want to thank you for listening, folks down in Pender County, Bladen County, of course. We have a huge population down there, folks that listen to us as well, and also up in Wayne County. Some folks in the certain parts of Wake County, believe it or not, Johnson County. We thank you for being with us. And of course, Cumberland County as well. We're talking to the Chairman of the Sampson County Board of Commissioners today, the Honorable Clark Wooten. Clark, I want to segue in, and I think this is a perfect commentary. In 2017, a fella that most folks, I guess you could say, know his name. His name is Bill Gates. He's been tagged as one of the most wealthy people, I think, in the world. Very knowledgeable, but anyway, he blogged in 2017 to graduates, to college graduates. And his first comment was interesting in that he said, you know, I just want to let you know, he's kind of proud of what people have done, something that he didn't do. He never graduated. And he said that in this article, I'm trying to sum it up real quick, there's 3 points I want to make. He said that in this particular communication, he said he didn't go to college because he was afraid he was going to miss the curve. And that curve was technology. That's something that when he felt like he needed to step out of and get on the floor to do it, he didn't go and finish any kind of academic career. But he also challenged, and he said there's, for those folks, he basically said, you know, I know you're getting a lot of advice. He said, but there's 3 things, and I want to point those out. He said there's 3 things that I will ask you to consider, 3 fields to look at. And I don't know how this fits with the conversation, but I'm fixing to toss it on the table. He said the first one is something called artificial intelligence. He said we have only begun to tap into the ways we can make people's lives more productive and creative through artificial intelligence. The second one is energy. He said simply because making it clean, affordable, and reliable is essential to not only prosperity, but moving us away from poverty. And the third thing he talked about was the whole area of biosciences, which deals with people living longer, more healthy lives, those kinds of things. When we look at what we're talking about doing, does the Sampson County infrastructure of people, education, geographical location fit any of that?
JW, certainly. I mean, it fits everything that Bill spoke about right there. Our challenge is to see how we fit to that. The clean energy, renewable energy, you know, that's obviously what drove the business that came to us in Viva. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, it's certainly when you talk about health. I mean, we live, you know, within less than an hour's drive, some of the greatest universities, medical teaching schools. I mean, we are on position so well for that type of thing. And when you talk about health, I mean, look at the things that Sampson Regional and the Wellness Center. I mean, look at the positive things that it's done for our community to get us eating more healthy. And God knows I need to be on the top of that list. And exercising and moving more. And God knows I need to be on top of that list. But you know, those are things that sometimes we take for granted. And those are things that honestly build a legacy. When you talk about Bill, I mean, think about what his legacy is going to be. Is it going to be a statue somewhere, or is it going to be in a museum? Maybe his device might sometime be in a museum, but his legacy is going to transcend many, many generations, making their lives, as he said, more productive, giving us the technology we need. I mean, you know, it's definitely a place that we are on the, for lack of a better term, a golf term, we're on the tee box. I mean, question is, well, you know, where are we going to shoot? Where are we going to strike our ball to land?
There was a number of people that has, including Bill Gates and others, that has indicated this whole idea of artificial intelligence now, AI is the acronym for it, is actually the new industrial development of this generation, that it is the curve that's going to, it's the new paradigm shift is another term that's been used for artificial intelligence. In fact, there's a couple of books. I just got one and have gotten through about the first chapter. It's an amazing book, but it talks about how that's changing the whole dynamic of everything we do. That algorithms now, and these are kinds of analytical summation things that come out that tell us what we're doing. Is it productive? Is it not? Which way we steer, we don't steer. Whether you can operate a car without a driver in it. All of those kinds of things fits in that artificial intelligence thing. Also farming, you know, and you know quite a bit about agriculture. The amount of water you use, the amount of chemicals you use, all of that can be built into a structure that not only challenges but changes to fit economic issues, energy issues, and as you said a while ago, the robotics world, no question, it's in that field. How do we, as you move forward with kind of a leadership role, ensure that we have, quote, the connectivity in the rural areas? And I guess the reason I can talk about this is because I'm a country boy from the country and live in the country, is that in the trees and the cornfields that we've got the connectivity we need to be able to network with this and understand it, not only in our schools, but in farm offices out in the county and in rural areas. It's an expensive proposition, but if we keep up, we got to have it.
Well, we got to have it. And you talk about other areas that I visit and see. Look at our cooperative, Star Telephone. Look where people are that don't have that vision. I mean, Star has the internet, fiber optics into cornfields, and they had a vision. It was not necessarily about profit, but about where it could take our communities and our county and that service area. So they invested. Is there more to do? Absolutely. But we're ahead because of that institution and the foresight of its board. We're ahead. But you know the old adage, JW, if you're not moving forward, you're getting behind because people will pass you. We can't rest on that being all we can do. We've got to push into those corners and cornfields, because if you look at some of the most successful people in North Carolina and frankly in the world, you know, they originated from those cornfields and those tobacco patches, and they brought that work ethic and that desire to be better out of those rural areas and made significant impacts into government and into businesses. So we have to be pushing that envelope. We have to be asking that question. And asking it and pushing that envelope takes a team of people. It takes a lot of brain power, all that we can muster to get to that artificial intelligence. Yes, is it the next frontier? I mean, absolutely. I mean, who in the world would have thought we were carrying the most powerful computer in our pockets? I mean, we all have that technology, that power in our pocket. When I was introduced to computers, you walked in with a box of those cars and fed them in a computer, and you just prayed if it was a rainy day that you didn't slip and get those cards out of order, because your whole project was a bust. And now look at where we are. So I mean, and that's what I get back about building a legacy. We want to build something that transcends far beyond Clark Wooten and far beyond what we currently have. And that's the vision our past leaders have had, that, hey, we've got to make steps as we can. But I and my other commissioners refused to push that ball down the field just as hard and just as passionately as we can. And if it's into artificial intelligence, we're going to have the resources to lead us there. We don't know where we're going, but I do know this. If you aim at nothing, you hit it every time. And we got to find a way to know what we're aiming at. And you and your research could very well be the path that we go down.
Well, I think it's challenging, and again, when I look at you and I talked with Vice Chair Sue Lee, and she's got over 40 years in business. It's those business thinking skills that I think are going to be huge assets to governments, not only in Sampson County, but throughout the country. We have to understand that our model is based on a capitalistic model. And oftentimes we can get off of that model quite a bit and end up, thinking that government's going to look after us, but the resources is not designed to do that for a lifetime. So we're going to take a break and we'll be back. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in a moment. We're talking about economy, but we're talking about it from the sense of revenue and revenue generation. And we're talking with the Chairman of the Board of Commissioners in one county, Sampson County, and we'll be back in one moment.
To get the most out of your electronic devices, you need a strong internet connection and a protected home Wi-Fi network. You need high-speed internet from Star. Star has the fastest, most affordable high-speed internet service available for all your devices. We have no long-term contracts or high-pressure sales. Our service speaks for itself, and switching is hassle-free. We take care of everything with free installation from a local company. High-speed internet from Star. Internet at the speed of life.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We Should Know is on there. We're coming up on our last segment today, Tuesday at 2:30 every Tuesday. We appreciate all of those folks out there listening or watching the show on Star Channel 16. If you have questions or suggestions, remember to email us at weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. Or if you're some of those folks that oftentimes will drop me a note, just send it to Post Office Box 1482, Clinton, North Carolina. That's 28329 at the Post Office, 28329, Post Office Box 1482. Always love to hear from you and love your suggestions. Many times you'll see a show develop as a result of that comment. We're talking to the Honorable Clark Wooten, Chairman of the Sampson County Board of Commissioners. I use that introduction because I discovered some years ago that the correctness in introducing someone, if they're a commissioner, is always the honorable. So I use that. I've known you for a long time. So Clark, thanks for being here.
Well, absolutely. Thank you again, JW, for the service that you and this team put for the county citizens. I appreciate the correctness of what you say, but you've known me a long time, I'm just a Sampson County farm boy, and I'm just Clark, and that's all I'll ever be. And I want to, I want to have an impact. We all have strengths and weaknesses. God gave us all a gift. Yeah. And I'm just blessed to be able to participate in county government, and I feel like that we as a team have made a huge difference.
When we think about what we've been talking about today and where we're headed, I want to kind of, for some of this last segment, to talk a little bit more about the listeners, the person that's listening out there. It may be a housewife, it may be a grandma looking after grandchildren, who knows, but somebody's listening to this show and they're going, now, what do they expect me to do? So when we think about this and the projection to that person or to that person, some of the smartest people I know are farmers, so you might agree with that, but they take on a challenge. They probably take more risks than anybody I know in business anywhere. So what are we asking them to really do? Are we saying, look, if you have a particular crop that you're growing and you're having trouble getting it somewhere and you see an opportunity that we may have some kind of potential for a distribution center for that crop, should they contact you? Should they contact John Swope? How are they to connect to make sure their comment gets to the right people?
Well, absolutely. My email's on the county website, certainly to John, Ed Causey, and the thing is, no matter what challenge a person faces from either production of agricultural crop, agriculture is the backbone and will continue to be the backbone of Sampson County. Now, I want to build on that because, having an opportunity to have different businesses allows you to, for lack of a better term, to help recession-proof when you have different businesses. So I don't want to diminish agriculture, but if it's agriculture, if it's swine production, grape production, if it's I saw a clip here last night. A couple from Alaska went to a vacation in Hawaii, and they found these potato chips that were made in Hawaii. I mean, and they went back home and they started, Alaskan-made chips. They got 3 varieties or 3 flavors, and they do it right there. They grit it. They get the potatoes from an Alaska farm. They fry them and chip them and flavor them right there and distribute them right there. I mean, that kind of economic development, yeah, it's not an Enviva, but this economic development concept is like building a house. It's one brick, one nail, one board at a time. And absolutely, in building a house, have you got big beams and big rafters? Yes. But and maybe they're 2x8s or 2x10s. But the 1x4s are just as important. And that's what we need to foster. The thing that we've not talked about in economic development is you can't forget the businesses and the people that are here in the county now that an expansion, a wing or a new product or a few new employees, they're here now. They've brought us this far. And they're the farmers, they're the fabricators, they are the builders of furniture, they are the people that have brought us to the dance. And I'm the last person in the world that wants to forget them or support them. That again is a 2-pronged approach. Oh, it's a lot more sexy to talk about a big business. But JW, it's built small business by small business. And that's where I get to your point about the people that are listening. If it's a housewife that wants to market some product she makes in her house, who knows where that'll go? Who knows what, the old adage, necessity is the mother of invention. I mean, everybody has good ideas and good thoughts. Where we get lost is if Bill Gates had said, you know what, I got an idea, but I'm gonna just keep just doing what I'm doing. I like what I'm doing. I'm gonna just keep doing what I'm doing. But he had that drive. And that's what I want every person in this county to know that economic development is a part of them, driven by them, and is certainly a vehicle to participate in. So I don't want anybody, and that's what's driven me to go around this county talking about it. I was in my district, District 1 at a town hall. They talk about the pipeline. I-95 is going to multiple lanes in from Wade or from the bypass into Dunn or maybe on into Harnett County just a little bit. Those things are what drive us. And to be honest with you too, I have to say this. For instance, Harnett County, they've got 95, a lot of 95 coming through. And they've done a lot of work, and you can peel back the curtain to maybe one or two people that've been passionate about it. But when I look at the East Coast distribution of rooms to go, I mean it's in Harnett County.
Yeah, that's huge.
But JW, when they blow the parking lot, the dust falls in Sampson County.
That's right.
I mean,
exactly right.
We were that close.
Yeah.
That close. I want to be able to have the tools in my belt to fight for something like that.
So what I hear you saying is we got not only the potential, but the capability and the capacity.
Yeah, we've got to build on those, JW. We can no longer wait for someone to say, you know what, why don't y'all think about Sampson County? Hey, I appreciate everything our state and regional organizations are doing. I don't want to diminish them in any fact. But, JW, I just never have been one to want to swim. I give you an old adage, the old adage, eagles don't soar in flocks. I mean, I want the businesses and the opportunities to know we're here and we're going to search you out. And if we have to pull a Joe Max Higgins and chase your plane down to see who our competition is, by granny, we're going to do it, JD.
I'd love to meet that guy, wouldn't you?
I would. Now, let's me and you take off down
let's do
there.
that.
Because, it's all a part of Mississippi University.
It is. Yeah.
I'd love to meet him because now what little I can read and what little I can hear, I take a lot of teaching from it and a lot of counsel from it, and I would love to go. Let's me and you take off Mississippi and go
we'd load
see
the cameras up and take them when we'll interview it.
Let's do it. I like it. I like it.
So part of what you see, and as part of the takeaway for this show, is that it seems to me that you see yourself as an obstacle remover for people. You remove obstacles out of the way. If there's something there that government can do to move something out of the way to make revenue be generated, you're part of that.
Well, there's no question. Now, I've been called a lot of other things. Certainly not
context in different words.
Yes, certainly not. Some of it not proper for the air. But it's kind of being a disruptor, being the status quo, being just hanging back and waiting for it to happen. I mean, that's just not me. And I think, or I've been told that the people of District 1. That's part of why that they allowed me to serve them, is because they wanted someone that would operate from a business aspect. They want to bring business to government and would want to see us move forward. That's my personal belief. And to be honest with you, yes, I represent District 1. But I don't want any person in Sampson County to even think about the fact that I don't represent them. No matter where they are or no matter where they live, I represent them. And if I and my current board can do something to positively affect them, to make their life better, to be more productive, to have a better self-esteem, I want to. We are no longer going to find ourselves just in the standard status quo of Sampson County.
Got about 10 seconds here. So what I hear you saying is if we figure out a way to generate some more revenue, those folks who want a new school up at Hopton, it can happen.
Amen, brother.
All right. I want to thank you for being with us again.
Thank you, JW.
Clark. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking to Chairman of Sampson County Board of Commissioners, Clark Wooten. Always got a seat at this table. We invite him back anytime. We look forward always to see you again next week, Tuesday. And always we say, may God bless.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of We Should Know with host J.W. Simmons. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion regarding this or any episode, please send your emails to weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. And remember to tune in every Tuesday at 2:30 for another informative episode of We Should Know.